Bertie, please can you start the live stream and confirm when we're streaming? Good afternoon and welcome to this meeting of the General Licensing Committee. In the absence of the chair of the committee, I will ask for nominations for a chair for the meeting this afternoon.
I'll nominate Councillor Gordon Creed.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder for the nomination? Thank you. Perfect. Can we just take a quick vote? All in favour? Perfect. Thank you very much. I'll hand over to the chair, Councillor Gordon Creed.
Good afternoon and welcome to the meeting. This meeting of the South Oxfordshire District Council General Licensing Committee. I'm Councillor Ali Gordon Creed and I will chair the meeting. A couple of housekeeping announcements. Evacuation procedure. In the event of an emergency, please evacuate to the nearest exit, which is in the corridor and just to the right. Stand at assembly point 9 in the outside area beyond the fire exit. The Democratic Service Officer present will assist you. On arriving at this meeting, you should read the emergency evacuation procedure and sign the fire register just outside. Please inform Democratic Services Officer if you have not. Please can everyone ensure their mobile phones are switched off and any other devices are switched on during the meeting. For those joining remotely, when you're not speaking, please ensure your microphone is muted and your camera is off. If you share a presentation on the screen, please stop sharing as soon as your presentation is over, and public speakers must only have their cameras on and be unmuted when addressing the committee or answering questions of clarification in their designated slots. When the meeting is ended, I will ask for confirmation the live stream is ended. At that point, please leave the virtual meeting if you are joining remotely or make your way out of the building, remembering to sign out as you leave. We've had notification of substitutes and apologies for absence. Are there any?
We have no substitutes, but we've had apologies from councillors Peter Dragonetti, Catherine Keats-Rohan, Axel MacDonald, Ben Manning and Joe Robb this afternoon, Chair.
Thank you. Any declarations of interest? I see none.
I think we've got the minutes next. Sorry, adoption of the minutes next.
Oh, yes, we do. Sorry, adoption of last meeting's minutes. Has everyone read them?
Yes.
And can we have a proposal to adopt?
Propose to adopt.
Seconded? Yep. Thank you. Now, declarations of interest. I see none. Thank you. On to urgent business. No, I have none. Okay. Great. So, public participation. We have one registered speaker, Jill Bindoff, who wishes to address the committee on item 6 of the agenda. Jill, you're here and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Ali. Can I just check that you can hear me?
We can, yeah.
Hear you, yes.
Right. I'm here because I lead the neighbourhood plan group in Watlington, which has been concerned about air quality since about 2015. So I've been interested in this for a long time. I care about the levels of pollution in communities in South Oxfordshire, and therefore I care about the content of this new action plan. It has to be clear and transparent, credible and easy for everyone to understand. It really does need some amendment before you adopt it in order to meet these criteria. And so I'm asking you to defer your decision today. Hidden away on page 45 is the most important objective in the plan. It really is great news and should be highlighted at the very beginning of the document. What it says is that the objective of SODC, working in partnership with the county and others, is to work towards World Health Organization guidelines for air quality by 2030. This is a landmark policy for you, and it should be the major objection of the plan, and you should be really congratulated on it. The second point I want to make is that the situation regarding the monitoring results for the years 2020 and 21 should be very much clearer. There is reference in the introductory paragraph to COVID and its impact on traffic volumes in the lockdowns, but what it's not said is that the recorded levels of air pollution fell dramatically from 2019 to 2020. And for that reason, DEFRA has stated that the results from the COVID lockdown years are not valid. and they should not be counted when looking at patterns of NO2 concentrations over a period of time. At the moment, this information is only included in a footnote on page 26, which is the page to do with the Watlington AQMA. It is essential that all the references to pollution levels recorded over time makes this information clear. As the action plan stands, it's very misleading. Statements that monitoring shows a significant downward trend are included in the plan, but it's only because you are counting the years 2020 and 21. It really does matter that this is corrected in the text before the action plan is adopted and published. The other point which is not clear is that any consideration of revoking an AQMA designation because of falling levels of pollution over time has to recognise that the maximum annual mean concentration of nitrogen dioxide for any year should not be above 36, rather than the UK objective of 40 milligrams per cubic metre of air. This is to take account of the well-known fact that results from diffusion tubes have at least a 10% variability. This information is also hidden away as a footnote on page 26. It should be clearly stated. Given the fact that the 2019 results for Watlington were above 2036 and that the results for 2020 and 2021 are not valid, the only valid results for Watlington are the 2022 ones, as the 2023 ones are not available yet and they're not published. 1 year's results are definitely not sufficient to raise the possibility of revoking an AQMA, and the suggestion that the Watlington AQMA could be revoked should be removed from the plan. Sorry, how many minutes have I got left?
That's your time. You did get a 5-second, 30-second warning, but I don't think you heard it. Sorry.
Okay, well, could I please add something? I'm the only person here. This is the only item on your agenda. I wanted to say that there has been a damaging lack of communications between the District Council and Watlington on this issue. We were promised the opportunity that we would work collaboratively with your air quality team when you started working on the action plan, and that hasn't happened. And the first thing we heard about the possibility of the Watlington AQMA being revoked was when the formal consultation on the draft plan came out. And that it just isn't satisfactory at all. And we need to be much more collaborative in the way we work on air quality. It's a hugely important thing which affects everybody. Thank you very much, Chair. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you very much. Any questions?
No.
No.
Questions to Jill? Questions?
I think they can go either way, can't they? Was there a question to Jill particularly? No?
Generally, we wouldn't have questions.
Generally, no. Okay, that's fine. Okay, I will now hand over to officers to introduce the report.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just going to introduce the report, and I've got Simon and Carmen who are present in the room with you, and we're happy to take questions at the end of my introduction. So pleased to be able to present the joint Oxfordshire and Vale of White Horse Air Quality Action Plan. The plan represents a significant step forwards for our communities, and it outlines a comprehensive a list of measures that we will be undertaking to improve air quality in the district. There's been a significant amount of work being undertaken by officers, those two that are sat there, as well as the wider team, and successful engagement with our key air quality partners of Oxfordshire County Council and National Highways. We've done this in order to develop this plan and ensure that it reflects the collective commitment to safeguarding the health and well-being of our residents. The plan encompasses a wider range of key areas. Some of these include the promotion of public transport uptake, a review of the options to reduce freight emissions, the promotion of cycling, and the development of options to reduce traffic emissions within specific air quality management areas. The new Air Quality Action Plan has been compiled in line with strict technical guidance, with the target of reducing nitrogen dioxide levels within the Council declared air quality management areas, which are currently in Henley, Wallingford and Watlington. We're confident the measures outlined in this plan will contribute significantly to our overarching goal of enhancing and improving air quality in the district, and we're committed to working collaboratively with our partners and stakeholders to ensure that the effective implementation of this plan. So as said, very happy to take questions from the committee on the air quality action plan, and supported by Simon and Carmen.
Further thing to what Scott said, and just pick up on what was said earlier on in terms of engagement. Provide the committee with that reassurance of how we engaged on that particular point.
Thank you, Paul. Can I ask a question? Not to Paul.
Yes,
Yeah. Paul, can I just get some clarification on that? Because it sounds like Jill, our guest speaker, it sounded like something happened that didn't get communicated across the collaborative groups. So you're saying you collaborated with ward councillors. Did that get through to the local parish and the environment groups that Jill's part of, that feel like they weren't consulted? What happened there, basically?
Yeah, we would have initially reached out to the ward councillors for all the AQMA areas, and I'm just looking back in my calendar. I can't give you off the top of my head the exact date, but I know that Simon set those up, and that we made sure that we had invites out to parish councillors. Simon, I don't know whether you want to come in and just remind us how we did communicate with parishes.
I can come in. Well, basically the view is, because Anna Babcock, the predecessor to yourself, come to those meetings, and the view is taken that she would then disseminate the information to the parishes to engage in that process. Whether or not that's happened, we don't know. It may not have done. Well, it should have. But that was the aspiration, that the ward council would communicate to their parish council.
So it sounds like that may have been where the communication dropped.
But then I suppose, as the public consultation went out, the parish council would have been invited to come in along with everyone else who comes on the broader consultation back in the summer.
So I'm a bit confused by that, Chair. So obviously from 2023, Anna Babcock was not the...
Well, this is before May, before the election. That's when these meetings were taking place.
Oh, okay. All right, understood.
Thank you.
That was the question.
Yes. Yeah.
I just wondered. The first speaker, Jill, made several comments regarding the timing of the data gathering in Watlington, and I just would it be fair to ask you to respond on that?
Yeah, basically we've got a continuous analyzer in Watlington, which is running 24/7, which is measuring year on year, has been for the last 10-12 years. We've also got little diffusion tubes which are up on lampposts, which change every month. They've been there for 10+ years as well. I think the concerns are that we're going to revoke the air quality management area sooner than we can do. The steer from DEFRA is we need to have 5 years of continuous data below the 36 micrograms, which Jill was pointing out, before we can consider revoking.
And it has to be 5 years.
It has to be 5 continuous years of data showing, as long as the trend is flat or downwards, well below that 36 micrograms. So that's what we need to wait for. Also, we need to exclude the COVID years of 2020 and 2021 now. So basically, we've got 3 more years worth of data monitoring before we can be in a position to consider revoking the air quality management area in Watlington itself.
Thank you.
And even then, as I understand it, just so Jill is aware, even if after 5 years of consistent data of the downward trend, it doesn't mean you will instantly revoke.
No, we'll begin the process of revoking the air quality management area after that, but it doesn't mean the monitoring stops. The monitoring continues after that to ensure progress in relation to where we are with the World Health Organization.
And it is our aim that we're aiming for those Stats.
At the moment, all this is governed by DEFRA, and it's DEFRA decide whether or not we adopt and aim at the World Health Organization levels. So all our levels are national objective levels, which DEFRA have set, and they haven't adopted the World Health Organization levels yet. But there's there's a broader strategy document which is a council air quality strategy, which is aiming for us to achieve those levels as a county.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Lee, do you have a question?
One of principle, first of all, as the licensing committee, can you just clarify why it is that we are receiving the air quality? Because I didn't realise it was a license or it was something which
it's a line in the Constitution. Basically, the Constitution refers to
that we deal with air quality.
Air quality licensing activities all come to the licensing committee, so it's in the Constitution.
I've got a series of questions, but to the point that Jill made with us, I wonder whether in the graphs we shouldn't, where we're going across the years, we shouldn't actually show a grade column or whatever to say these are the COVID years and exceptional reporting and conditions applied, and it's appropriate to view them in that light. Because I think that visually, for many people when they go through this, it's the graph that jumps for them. And it would just make that issue very clear, wouldn't it?
Yeah, with something we can take away and consider. I think the main thing is the template and layout of this action plan is very prescribed by DEFRA. It's very much their template to use. But it's a valid point.
I looked at these and I noticed that for areas with particular difficulties, Henley, Watlington, actually Marcham and Botley, and I know they're not in our parish, but each of those had elevated levels of HGV and LGV, and you could see there was a different mix and pattern in those environments. I also would take the point that I understand what DEFRA require and the issues of averaging and so forth. But I think there are also issues of what is actually the range here, and if you have, for example, an environment like Watlington, where we can see that there are elevated levels of commercial vehicles, and we know that there are periodically there's erratic traffic conditions. Sometimes it's very congested, and sometimes not so much. With those, as it describes, very narrow roads and buildings quite close to the curb, you can see how there would be a concentration at certain times when the traffic's backed up and chugging. So there will be times, I suspect, when there are exceedances, but which don't quite get it down on the data we see.
Well, no, this average. But the data we're looking at is an annual mean figure.
I understand that
because of the health impacts of the longer term exposure, not the spikes in those elements. So and that's what we need to look at, and that's what DEFRA requires to do under the technical current. So it's an annual figure. But yes, there is that variation.
I'm just looking for a little bit more light and shade in the reporting so that we can see those issues where they apply. Clearly,
Councillor Rowland, can you just succinctly suggest your amendment, if you like, so that
if I can just say, for nitrogen dioxide, there's two objectives in the legislation: the annual average, which is the one that we found exceedances of in Watlington. There's also an hourly average. With the analyzer, we gather data every 10 minutes. We get reading. So if there was hours every day where levels were exceeding this hourly objective, and then this objective, I guess, is how we would identify these peaks in concentration that you're referring to, that our data would show those peaks. And if we were exceeding that hourly average, that would be something that we would target in the quality action plan. But we have never found that objective is being exceeded for Watlington or any other AQMAs in the district. So that's why it's not included.
No, I understand that. But if we are monitoring that, and if we can report on that, clearly, as Jill brought out, there's this issue at page 45 or whatever of aspiring to a higher standard than the minimum that DEFRA set, and how we go about that and where we identify issues that are out there. I guess for me, we have to do what we have to do within the DEFRA guidelines, and I make no. I understand that this is not an option, but there are some important issues still out there. I mean, for example, in Watlington, there's a debate about, or not a debate. There is an aim to have an edge road to take a lot of that traffic, particularly the commercial traffic, out of the centre where it's kettled up and where it causes a problem. And I hope that it won't be the case that even though we can perceive a possibility that Watlington will come out of having an AQA by and by, that we don't take the opportunity and don't still support the opportunity for the edge road and so forth, and don't sort of say, problem over, nothing to worry about, let's save the money or something.
Well, no, as we talked earlier, the monitoring continues even if we revoke the AQMA to monitor that, and to monitor when the edge roads comes in to pick up the improvements that brings as well. So the monitoring doesn't stop at the point we were in a position to consider revoking. And that revocation does come back to the licensing committee to decide on, well, as and when we get there.
Okay. And that final point that was made about the setting a level at 36 rather than the DEFRA 40, and that we are supposed to take the 10% variation into account. What is the fine nuance on that?
Well, yeah, we're considerably below the 36 already in the last 3 years. I think the highest figures were 28, 29 micrograms. So
right.
We're below that, but that's all part of the technical guidance of 36 that Jill is referring to. So we're fully aware of that. So yes, it's not you just dip below 40, you're rightly thinking about revoking. It's got to be considerably below that, and that's where the 36 comes in to take in that variation.
Just as a minor point in the report, we use particular addresses and we say 48 DAR and 41 DAR, and at first glance it looks like it's a score again, but it's not. It's just an address, and I wonder whether we shouldn't say number 48 or something that kind of makes that point clear. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wallace. Does that clarify your point?
Yes, I think as far as we can helpfully do so today. Thank you.
Thank you. Are we now hearing from anyone else? No.
Oh, sorry, I did have one other question, and that was simply in all of our action plans and so forth, is traffic rerouting and that kind of stuff. I mentioned Watlington, but in a number of other places you can see why the issue is what it is, whether I don't go through all the places.
We work with we're close with our county colleagues in relation to there's.
Okay, so that's in the range of options that we're looking at.
Counties are very much engaged with this bit of work.
Because I do recognise that there's a lot of work that they're thinking about in terms of HGV routing, for example, which might help.
Yeah, no, again, as part of our broader sort of district-wide measures, it's referring to there's looking at HGV routing, freight routing, to deal with all those elements because of the impact that bigger HGVs and buses and that fleet has on local airport. So it's
Thank you.
So on to debate. Yes. On to debate. Well, I'll kick off on that. I would like, if possible, this report to take into account both Jill Bindoff's points about communicating a bit more clearly the DEFRA change of view to do with both in the COVID years, and also Lee's point to do with ease of visual recognition, if you like, of successes and trends. If there was a way to do that was easy.
We can address now.
I don't know. I have no idea, but they were mentioned, and it's just in the spirit of reports that are.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I think we would need to consult DEFRA on that because the AQB has to follow this very strict reporting format, same as our annual status reports. So the graph has to be like that, otherwise.
Okay.
And could I suggest a compromise? We do our annual status report every year to DEFRA.
Yeah.
We can highlight and pull out that information in that report in this coming June to emphasise the fact we are excluding the 2020 2021 data, and just highlight the attention, highlight that fact when people look at the data. That maybe is a compromise.
I think that would be great, and also in that report, perhaps clarify to residents and parishes reading the report what that means in terms of the monitoring continues.
Yeah,
It
we can
doesn't
include all
mean-
those bits,
yeah,
and
exactly.
because it will also reference aspirations as and when we maybe consider voting, and that will almost get updated every year as part of that annual status reporting that we do to DEF, which seems a good place to catch it.
Yeah, thank you. That's all I have to say. Anyone else want to add anything?
I don't have any points that I feel would be valuable in a debate. This is something we need to do. A lot of work has gone into it, and whilst I realise nothing is perfect, I think there's an awful lot of data, and I've been quite comfortable with them. With the amount of effort and the figures that have been reached. I'm in a comfortable position unless anybody has any points that they feel require amendment.
I wonder if, taking the point from Watlington, there may be other locations, whether we should not just send a confirmation to the parishes to know, so that they know what there is.
That's a good point.
It's not something we can change at this point, but at least they have been formally advised.
Yeah, no, completely agree. We've got our comms message will go out corporately across both council websites, but yeah, we can definitely email the relevant parish and town councils that the action has been adopted. Here's a copy of the final version, not a problem.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Right, so nothing else? No further debate? Yeah, can we ask? Yes. Can we agree with the recommendation of a motion? Yeah.
Propose adoption as recommended.
Seconded by anyone?
I'll second that.
Vote, please, Chair. A vote.
Thank you. That's carried.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and therefore I close the meeting.
Bertie, can you confirm the live stream has ended?